All right. Well, welcome to another episode of our Create the Ripple podcast. I am your host, Candice Smiley. Here we talk about trusting the niggle and telling the truth. Now, my guest today, I'm stoked. Well, you guys know that. I'm always stoked when I turn on the camera and I get to talk to people. But today, no less for sure. He actually comes from out Vancouver way. And if any of you guys have been following along with my podcast, you know I love heading that direction whenever I possibly can. Usually because there's mountains in between me and the ocean, but that's okay. Anyway, before we get too far into that, I really want my guest to let us know who he is, where he comes from, what's going on in his world. Basically, give us your bio, and then we'll jump straight into some questions.
Cool. Yeah, my name's Zachary Klassen. I'm actually originally from Edmonton, Alberta. I moved to Vancouver when I was 23 years old to pursue acting in film and TV. And while obviously doing film and TV, it's a tough business. And just it's a kind of a business where it does require a lot of downtime. And fitness has also been a massive part of my life. I've been doing, it's funny. I actually became a personal trainer when I was 17, and I entered into my first acting class when I was 17.
Okay.
So it's kind of like two things I already knew right off the top that I really wanted to do. And while pursuing acting in Vancouver, I started a online fitness training business where we actually focus on busy professionals, people that don't necessarily have a lot of free time, and we get them in wicked shape.
Beautiful. Well,
Yeah.
that's exciting. And I'm going to just let my listeners know, as usual, all of the contact information for Zachary is going to be down below in the show notes. Because I know that if I was listening to this, I'd be like, and search.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be me. So what prompted the move? I mean, you moved out there for acting. Was that really the reason you moved out to Vancouver, was for the
You
acting
know,
scene?
yeah, you know what? It wasn't so much. I mean, Edmonton. If you've ever been, are you from Edmonton?
I'm in Edmonton
Yeah.
right now.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool. I mean, you know what it's like there. It's kind
I
of
do.
it's dry, it's boring. I love it though. It's my hometown, so I'm not
I will
gonna.
not be hashtag yagging this one. That's for sure.
Yeah, please don't. I don't want to get hated on. But
No, that's all good.
yeah. So I moved out of there at 23 years old, and the reason why 23 was a big number for me is
Mm,
because there was a few things going on in my personal life, like my household and stuff, and my dad, he had cancer at the time, and um, it was just a lot going on. And it's
mm,
actually funny. I used to, when I was doing my first bodybuilding competition, I was like 19 or 20. I used to go on the bike downstairs in my basement, the spin bike, and while I was getting ready for the competition, I'd watch biographies of actors. And Brad Pitt really stood out to me in a funny way. And he left home at 22 years old. So I was like, okay, cool. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave home at 23. Brad Pitt did it 22. I'll do it 23. And it's funny because that is 100% the reason why I actually ended up wanting to leave at 23 years old. And then I never looked back. I had some highs and lows of the moments. Obviously, when I first moved here, especially when I first moved here, my old man, he ended up passing away from cancer. So that was really tough, just like really being on your own, no friends, no family, just being in Vancouver, new city, just not knowing what's going on at all. Um, but I think when you have like a loss, or you have like a bad breakup, or just like a traumatic experience in your life, you can either take it two ways. You can either go the one way where it's you feel sorry for yourself, and you go down that road and you realize really quickly that, okay, I need to do something about this because no one really cares. Or you go the other
The
road
world
where it's like
carries on. This is very true. Yes.
the world carries on, time keeps going, right? Or you go the other road where it's like, you know what, I'm going to use that as fuel and really try to create something really meaningful and impactful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're having this conversation on a podcast that was really born out of a grief that happened last year. Relationship came to an end. I knew it needed to, right? But it was a significant one that I hadn't expected to. And that immediately threw me into quite a few weeks of grief and some counseling and some therapy, which, you know what, thank goodness for the slowdown in the world, because as a busy entrepreneur, and a solo mom, it was like, oh, hey, the whole world is shutting down right now. I can also shut down and practice some self care, which
Yeah.
was great. It allowed me to recenter, refocus, and reset. And here we are.
It's pretty amazing, man. Like I know COVID, obviously there's a lot of, I mean, I would say there's more downfall than anything, right? People are depressed and, whatever. But I would say overall, I've definitely had some positive experiences during COVID. If it wasn't for COVID, I really wouldn't have started this online business and really pushed on it really hard and just a few things, right? So it's, like, again, it's how you take it, man. There's always two ways to look at things,
Well, and then how you look at things, changes what you're looking at, right? That's a very interesting thing. So
Yeah.
you moved to Vancouver. I'm like a little bit jealous right now because, I was actually planning to do some moving. I've done a lot of house sitting. Again, as a solo mom, that was a great way for me to travel around without spending, an arm and a leg on stuff like that. There's people that want to go on vacations and they want you to come and stay in their house. So I did a ton of that for a couple of years and moved my way all the way down the coast. But one of the things that I've always wanted to do was go live in BC, especially by the ocean. So we were down in California for a few weeks and that was awesome. So you move out there, you're all by yourself, you get into acting and you started personal training at the same time, or when did you do the actual transition into?
Yeah. So like I mentioned, I was doing personal training, like I said, at 17, and that's when I got into my first acting class. And then when I got to Vancouver, for whatever reason, I thought I had to be a server. Like there's, the whole becoming an actor
That's
stigma.
very cliche right there. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. So I actually stopped and my mom, she was like, why did you go to school for this and start a business for this? And like, you're just going to throw this away for serving. It doesn't make sense. And I was like, and thank God I did, because I met some wicked people when I was serving, especially at the time I needed friends. I didn't have anyone. These people were all kind of like-minded like me. The younger crowd in Vancouver, it's a very interesting, special place. Like, I wouldn't even say the younger crowd. I would say just in general. I would say there's more dreamers here, especially in the arts. You know what I mean? A lot of people are trying to become artists in this city, especially. And it was just nice being surrounded by by those kind of people. But I realized really quickly, I was like, wait, I make a lot more money doing fitness and I'm actually good at it. And I went to school for it. What am I doing? So I kind of ended that pretty quick, but yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Then COVID hits and you transitioned online. And I know there's a lot of people that did. I'm really excited that we're chatting because this particular month, as I mentioned to you before we hit the record button, I have a magazine that was started, an online publication. People call it an online experience. I'm a former event planner, so I can't really seem to get away from putting things together where people come together and we talk about big ideas. It's probably not a bad thing. But this particular month, April, when we're going to launch this, is called Fresh Starts. And we've talked to a lot of people who either pivoted, they reset, or they took an entirely different direction in their businesses because of what happened in 2020. So talk me through that. Like, were you sort of already moving toward the online realm? I know I was like 75% online with what I was doing. And then when that hit, I was like, sweet, let's go full on.
Let's go full swing. Yeah, for me, it was more so, I would say, I remember it really clearly too, because I was just like half-assing it, right? Like I had in-person clients, I was training a bunch of people. I had no time to step away from that. And like, I was already thinking like, okay, cool, I should probably get a trainer to work for me and have that kind of established and stuff. And I was looking at starting my own app and stuff. And that was kind of the thought process. And then that March happened and COVID really hit. And I was like, all my clients were like, I can't train anymore. And that's when I really started to push the online thing. I went through a little bit of a ukulele stage where I really wanted to learn how to play an instrument. And as soon as that was over, as soon as that stage,
I was like, I'm totally gonna learn guitar now.
Yeah, right. Totally. So I learned to play the ukulele, and it was the coolest thing ever. And yeah, once that whole thing got over, that's when I really started to push the online thing. And I honestly started to see a lot of success with it. And not just with me, like, not just like how I was, I'm not talking about just income, just even clients in general. I've been personal training for 15 years. I've been doing the online thing now for a little bit. And I see a lot more progress with online clients than I ever did with in-person clients. So, it's been really rewarding, and it's just made me, it's just reassured me like what I'm doing is correct.
Why do you think that is? Like, why do you think there's a bigger
I think
success?
it's very simple. I think with a personal trainer, you're taking control of that 1 hour session, or maybe you're seeing that person 3 times a week, but you
Mhm.
don't know what they're doing outside of that, right? I'm not controlling your steps. I'm not controlling what you're eating. I don't know how many hours of sleep you're getting each night. I don't know what supplements you're taking.
Sure.
And this is all stuff you can be doing for sure with your personal trainer. I just think with the online thing, it's just a lot more easier to kind of keep track of things with an app. We're doing our weekly check-ins with each other,
Mhm.
and all that kind of fun stuff.
Interesting. I think too, with everything shifting to online, we've all sort of made an adjustment to that, right? Like we have different apps, we do things
Yeah.
differently. So you have your own app, or do you use a particular app?
So there's a company called Trainerize. Basically, you can run your own app through them. Basically, you don't have to do all the hard work into making an app, but it's still like your customized app essentially. So
Oh,
I would say it's a little bit of both. Yeah.
that's smart. That's
Yeah.
that's very, very smart.
Yeah. Well, listen,
That's awesome.
I'm in no position to be making an app. So yeah.
Yeah, I understand. I appreciate that you seem to understand. I am good at these things. I will only do these
Yes.
things.
Yes. It's honestly, man, if there's one thing that I've learned while having my own business, it's like you can only do so much,
Yes.
and you need to like outsource people that are good at certain things. Like I don't care about Facebook ads. I don't want to know how to do Facebook
Right.
ads. There's no desire in me to know, but I'll hire someone and pay them to do it. It's perfect.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I think that was one of the biggest pieces of advice that I got when I got started was, you're going to need a few good people in your life. And I think too many people focus on what they're not good at. And I mean, that's a pretty big narrative that we hear, in the world, right? We're always trying to fix the problem. And it's that perspective thing that you and I kind of chatted about, just as we got this thing started. But for those of us, especially as entrepreneurs, we kind of know we're good at these four things. We know what we're good at, and more than that, we know what we like to do. So I don't know about you, but for me, when I was going through the grief and then as I was sort of coming back out, I found that the only things I actually wanted to do, I know it's weird, but was like the things that actually lit me up. And I would feel energized, maybe for just a minute or 10 minutes or whatever I was doing it. And I remember thinking to myself, this is bliss. I've heard some of these really cliche conversations, follow your bliss. I'm like, that's actually bliss right there. I need to do more of that. And that's
Yeah.
really had a huge impact on how I've, started the publication. I'm really good at big picture thinking. I don't know about you, but I can see like 3 years down the line, 10 years down the line. I'm like, this is where we're going, no problem. But then someone will give me, something edited to look over and I'll miss the comma. That's not where it's supposed to be. Now, I love words, right? I can write copy for my own ads and that kind of stuff. I'm happy there, but edit someone else's stuff with a little tiny detail. And I think of over the last few years, maybe it's because I'm getting old, but part of it is realizing that I don't have to explain a lot of that stuff away, right? I'm like, no, I'm good at this. Just like you just said, I don't want to know Facebook ads. I'll just pay someone to do it. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. And it takes a long time. Like if there's any fresh entrepreneurs listening to this,
Oh, there will
you know,
be.
and there will be. I used to make these comedy videos on Instagram. By the way, to kind of and that happened in the middle of 23. I'm 29 now, so in the middle of that 25, 24, whatever. I used to make these comedy videos on Instagram, and I developed a decent following, like 40,000 followers on Instagram from this, and we got sponsored from a lot of different companies, and we actually made income for 2 years while doing this.
Awesome.
But this is where I learned this lesson, and this was the biggest lesson that I learned. It's like you actually can't do everything, and you doing actually everything, you're actually saying no to the most important part, and that's yourself. You know what I mean? And that was a big entrepreneurial lesson for me. And so I brought that over into my fitness business. And honestly, it's amazing. That the bliss feeling, the bliss feeling that you're talking about, and that feeling of just like feeling very refreshed. You need to have this. You need to have that relaxation, that creativity comes to you when you're relaxed. It doesn't come to you when you're busy and you're stressing out. It doesn't come there. And you need to have that creativity in order for you to continue on with the business.
Wow, I love it. So are you looking for a simple, easy weight management solution? I thought you might be. I know I was. I also wasn't interested in something with a ton of gimmick without any science behind it, which I know a ton of companies have. The company I'm about to share with you actually has 12 of their own clinical studies. And for me, with my science-based background, I needed to know that. I also needed to know the product worked. And so I was introduced to the group that, however, had 125,000 members in it, all supporting amazing stories of weight management, weight loss, hair regrowth. Oh my gosh. Not surprising though, considering the product itself has won numerous awards in and out of the nutraceutical industry, which I think is pretty incredible. Pretty exciting as well is the fact that it's made with their patented technology, 7 international patents on the collagen in this product, made entirely from chicken sternum. Chicken sternum, why? Because it most closely mimics the collagen that our own bodies create. Now, I'm a 36-plus-year-old woman, and so making sure that I'm maintaining and taking care of and trying to reverse the clock so I can age gracefully is super important to me. Making sure I'm taking products that are safe, making sure I'm taking products that are approved, and making sure I'm taking products that I would be happy to share because there's integrity at the top. So this company is a values-based company, which I absolutely love. Not only do I love that, but I love the flavors. This is mango. Mango's my favorite. This is from the Modera company, which you've heard me talk about before. 1 simple spoonful a day. In the morning, I can add it to my coffee if I feel like it. I don't add the mango, I add the vanilla to my coffee, but I can add a simple spoonful to my day. It tastes awesome. It tastes amazing. And it's helping my body to maintain the figure that I've worked to get to. Why not? Now, if you're looking for some weight management, this is going to help curb appetite. It's going to help your body to function as best. And we know that when you do something like that and you make wiser choices, your body says thank you. This is part of an entire system called the Lean Body System. I will make sure to post information for that below, or you're welcome to scan the QR code, which I know is going to be somewhere in the screen if you're watching this on YouTube. If not, head over to modere.ca. That's MODERE, modere.ca, or modere.com, and use code 5579027. Again, 5579027 to save $10 on your next order, regardless of what you put in your cart. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of the listen. So if someone was listening in and you weren't paying total attention, you need to pause. You need to rewind, listen to that little bit, because that was such a nugget. No, I agree completely. And so many of the entrepreneurs, and I mean, it's tough when you're starting a business, right? So there's so many things that are demanding. And I'm reminding myself constantly, this is my business. This is my company. So I'm the one that said this needs to be done today. I'm the one that said we're launching on this day. If we need to make an adjustment, we make an adjustment and we just renegotiate those things. And that's been a big thing for me around conversations around mental health, right? Mental wellness, because I mean, I think a lot of people realize I'm highly creative. So I've always sort of had the ups and I've had the downs. When I'm down, I learn and I create some of my best stuff. And when I'm up, man, do we get stuff done, right? And I've just learned to accept that about myself. But I think a lot of people, when we went through COVID and routines changed and so many of those other things, people realize, wow, this mental wellness thing, this is something I need to practice. And one of my last guests talked about people are looking to be mentally fit. And I was like, oh, I love that. I love that so much. And putting together a mental fitness plan, right? So it's not just about, eating clean and whatever, but it's like, what are you going to do when you, whatever it is, binge on the Netflix show and now you're not in a good mood? I was like, oh my gosh, like that is so proactive. I had to share it with you because fitness is obviously a big deal for you. But anyway.
Yeah, no, I like the mentally fit thing too. And, something that I started during COVID too last year, and I'm going to be honest with you, I would say this is the biggest lesson I've ever learned in my entire life. And maybe you can relate just based off that conversation, but basically, meditation for me and practice and the word meditation. Look, if you're a guy or, there's just some stigma around meditation and it really sounds very yogi and it sounds very like spiritual.
That's what, other people would call it. Like, that's your woo-woo side. And I was like,
and listen, from a person that's coming from Edmonton, I'm telling you right now, I can completely relate to what you're saying. Okay. but right, you can the Edmonton vibe, right? You get what I'm saying.
It's an Edmontonian that said it, so woo woo. It's like, yeah, that's my woo right there.
But in all honesty, if you can learn to meditate, and mindful meditation in particular, if you can really practice mindful meditation and practice being in the moment, there's been so many things that from last, when COVID first happened till now, I mean, I got out of a relationship. There's just been so many things that have slowed me down technically. And previous Zach would definitely dwell on these situations. But because I practice mindful meditation, I'm able to kind of steer my brain and, be mentally fit, if you will.
I just loved the analogy because, I thought about, times in my life when I wasn't mentally fit, right? And I felt like I didn't have the coping and I didn't have that strength. And also the times when I feel like I've been physically fit and how it's so much easier to tackle just about anything. I fell in love in last summer with backcountry camping. This is something I had always wanted to do. Mentally wasn't ready for a number of years. And then last year, it just seemed like I just needed to get out and discovered I could do 60K in an entire weekend. And it was fun.
That's amazing.
Interesting piece, but you're right, because I think my favorite part was, we'd be driving, hashtag van life, favorite part, and we would disappear and there'd be no reception for 4 days. And I live on my phone, right? Because I've got businesses, I don't mind it. I set, I got my timers when it goes off. But it was my favorite part because I would feel like the first 3K, I would be sort of hashing and making mental lists. And then, 2 more K after that, I'd be starting to be like, wow, it's really pretty out here. And by 7 or 8K, I would be totally in the moment. And some of the best ideas for, posts or, the magazine or some of these podcasts were born from those moments when meditation, right? You're just walking and thinking, focusing on when lunch is going to be, because it's funny how you start to think about things like, I really want to eat that apple in my bag. And how much joy there would be in that moment. And I remember thinking to quite a few people, I wish more people had some of these experiences that I had, right? The grief and some of these things that have fallen apart drastically, because now I was in some of the most beautiful places I had ever been. And I was like, I'd have never gone here if this whole thing hadn't fallen apart, and how much the universe really is rigged in my favor. And I just need to pay attention to that fact. Like, very cool stuff.
It's very important. I agree. Yeah.
But total mindfulness.
Yeah.
So tell me more about that. So you got into meditation. Do you have a particular practice that you do? Like, how do you find that? I got sort of monkey mind. So
the monkey mind. Yeah, you nailed it. That was a term I learned last year too. I would say Sam Harris. If you're familiar with him, I'm sure you are. If you're not, he has an app on the App Store. This is not an ad in any way. I've tried Calm. I've tried Headspace. I've tried a few of these meditation apps, and this one's just really good. You just instantly click on. It's a 10-minute daily meditation. It changes every single day, which is nice too. And honestly, we're talking 10 minutes out of your day. It's the first thing I do when I get up in the morning. I get up in the morning, I make my bed, I meditate. You know what I mean? It just kind of puts me in the zone for the entire day. And I just want to add on top of that, this is something that I also have been doing as well. I do a quick kind of gratitude journal, a couple things I'm grateful for. What's something, like, for example, what's something today that can stress you out? How are you going to get over that situation? It kind of just like gets me prepared for the entire day. And, I think if you're running a business, you kind of have to start your day with like, what are you going to do? What tasks are you doing? There's stuff there's levels to this game. You know what I mean?
There's levels to this game. I love that. No, I use that terminology all the time. So I was a homeschool kid. And so when I got to university, there was quite a few hoops I had to jump through in order to prove that I was capable of going to university. And my dad said early on, the sooner you can think about life as a game and some of these challenges as, you got sent back to jail and now you need to draw the right card to get out, right? Then the better that is. And that attitude has totally changed everything, right? And I mean, Tony Robbins is great at this. Big fan of Tony Robbins.
Same.
But he talks about that whole thing, like, you have these things you need to do, right? We're entrepreneurs. There are things we do have to do. How can I do them in a way that's going to make that fun or make that easy or make that more of an enjoyable process? And I have found that shift. I'll say things like, if I loved myself, what would I be doing right now? And that's made such a huge difference to be like, well, maybe I'll do this first, or I'll eat the frog first, right? As Brian Tracy would say. those are huge things. Yeah, I love that you brought that up.
Yeah, totally. No, it's like I said, it's something that's completely necessary. And even if, like, I know we're talking about businesses and stuff, but even if you're not running a business, like if you're just if you're a mom at home, or you're a guy that's working a 9 to 5 job, like these are
Mhm.
also things that are gonna just overall make you just feel better, man. That monkey
Mhm.
mind, like I'm telling you, that monkey mind. If I would have known this when I was 20, oh, I'd be so much further ahead mentally, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, there's a few things I think, oh, that would have been really good to know. Like
Yeah,
my dad gave me the book How to Win Friends and Influence People when I was 14.
yeah,
Didn't read it till I was 24. And I remember thinking, this would have been really good to have read 10 years ago.
yeah.
And I can't stress that enough. And I mean, anybody who follows the podcast knows that, we drop these kinds of links and ideas, and it's because, hey, we're sharing what we sort of stumbled upon on our, journey. And we want to make sure people have access to that. So I guess what's next for you? Are you going to continue to expand with the working
Yeah,
out, or
yeah.
what's on the horizon for you?
Yeah, on the horizon for me. So the company is called Project TransformX. We have an assistant coach now. We have a VA. We have a small team being built, which is
Brilliant.
fantastic.
Well done.
Yeah,
Kudos.
yeah. So the goal, I think, is to just keep expanding. We're
Mhm.
we're pretty much almost 100% a referral based business, which is awesome.
Mhm.
So just keep growing, keep getting people results. That's what really makes me happy, is transforming people and just changing their lives and getting them out of some kind of rut that they're in. When you are looking yourself in the mirror and you're feeling fit, the mental fit thing comes with that as well. And the
Mhm.
confidence that you get, the boost that you get, it drastically makes your life so much better. So the goal is to keep pushing that onto people, and keep acting. I love film and TV. I want to keep pushing on that for myself, and I just want to just see where that goes for me. That's something that's really personal for myself. And I
Mhm.
think while I'm pursuing this dream, and while I can keep helping out other people with this fitness business that I've created, yeah, I guess I'm just excited to see where that kind of goes.
Well, that's awesome. I think you've aligned your life to be congruent. And I interviewed a guy by the name of Damien. He was awesome, or Damon, and he spent 12 years um, doing janitorial work while he was building his dream. And the wisdom I think he picked up on those, hours by himself was huge. At least I felt it when I was talking to him. But the life that he has now, post that, moment in time for him, it's totally congruent. His job is congruent. His passion's congruent. What he does is congruent. His family life. And I've talked to a lot of entrepreneurs who are still, working their job, which they don't love. It's energy draining for them. And then they're trying to, promote themselves as coaches, and these people who are like, go get your dream. And I'm like, do you realize that you're not congruent? Right. And I'm not saying that people should quit their jobs and go do their business full time if they don't have the cash flow. But what I'm saying is, I often chat with them and say, like, hey, is there a way that you can make those parts of your life that are not congruent more congruent, because the other pieces will grow when everything is in a line? And it sounds to me like you've been able to really, really do that by chasing your two passions.
Yeah, well, it's definitely like it just hasn't been easy for sure. But I think that, what's that Tony Robbins quote? If the pain of staying the same is worse than the pain of change, then that's when the change
Yep.
happens, right?
Yep.
And that's kind of what it was for me. It was more so like I couldn't work for someone else. I couldn't do certain things. Like I
I was
knew, I
never a
knew
good
deep down.
employee either, so I totally get it.
Yeah,
It's like,
I
no.
just, I just couldn't do it. And I just felt like, again, this is 100% a personal preference. I don't think there's anything wrong with someone working 9 to 5.
Mm-mm.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But for me, I just knew that I would rather work my ass off for myself than give subpar effort for a 9 to 5, because I couldn't catch myself working really hard for someone else. That was just again, maybe something that was in me. I don't know.
No, I agree. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always was amused that that was a character flaw. So I started working for myself, and then people say, "Well, how many hours are you working now?" And I was like, "I don't even count, because I enjoy
Same,
what I
dude.
do."
Same.
Right?
Yes.
It's like
It's
breathing. I have a career that allows me to connect. That's my passion. I like to connect people. When I get to refer somebody, I get giddy, probably like you do when someone, gets their fitness on, right? And they're feeling good about themselves and like, yeah, are you kidding? When someone's like, oh my God, great referral, thank you. I'm just like, yeah, check it out. It's so much
Yeah.
fun. And for me, it's just, I wish I had someone tell me at 24, 18, that, hey, you can build your passion into a career, right? And I mean, there's some people that say, they'll have their passion and they work their career. For me, it needs to be both. For me, it needs to be something that it gets me up in the morning. I don't even think about it, right? It just is. And I think that that's an exciting place to be.
100%. No, I completely agree. Matthew McConaughey, who is one of my favorite actors,
Have you
has
read Green Lights?
of course,
I loved it so
loved
much.
it so much. His Oscar-winning speech, he says there's three things that's all you need in your life, and it's you need something to chase, you need something to look up to, and you need something to look forward to. And I think if you really understand those three things, it really, that's kind of what our happiness is kind of built around. And it's really, if you can write those three things down and you can really remind yourself of what you're chasing, what you're looking up to, and what you're, looking forward to, it really makes a big difference. There's a quote actually that I kind of wanted to say that really fits in with a lot of people that are kind of thinking maybe about taking action or starting their own business or whatever it is. This is a quote from Kevin Hart in his book, and it really stuck with me when I was building this business. And it's the I don't know, I'm not too sure if that's going to work, or I don't really know. And it's honestly, this is the best quote ever for this. Life is about making the right choices in the dark. You don't really know what's happening. You don't really know where you're going, but just fucking take a chance, man, and you'll figure it out,
Hey, it's Candice. I hope you're really enjoying the show. I know I certainly am. I want to give a big shout out to one of the products that I absolutely love using. So this is 36-year-old skin, and I am in love with it. Yes, I am wearing a teeny tiny bit of foundation. I'm wearing a little bit of eyeshadow, but in general, I want to go like really, really close. This is my skin. Phenomenal, right? So I recently started using a product called BioCell. BioCell is liquid collagen. Now, there's a lot of buzz about collagen right now, but you want to find one that mirrors closest the human kind of collagen. I was super impressed with this particular collagen. This is made with only the sternums of chickens. So that's the, the sternum bone of chickens in a place that has already ethically and humanely taken care of these chickens. And so we're basically using a part of the chicken that would normally just disappear and be used for other things. I have not gotten into the collagen world before now, mostly because I know that a lot of the collagens out there, especially the powdered collagen, they have things like cow hooves and pig hooves and noses, and I just wasn't interested in putting that sort of thing in my body. I do try to live a more plant-based lifestyle. This is one of the few products that I allow to have animal in it, but I absolutely love it. I'm also really impressed with the company behind it. They're a values-driven company, and if you know from watching any of my shows, values matter to me. They've got a number of values. One, to be disruptive in the industry, and you know me, I like to be a little bit irreverent and go against the grain once in a while. I also really love that one of their values is humility and compassion, because those are huge and important to me. So if you're looking for a place to spend your money, and no, it's not an arm and a leg, no, it's not an MLM, this is affiliate marketing, which means if you did decide to purchase this product, yes, I would in fact get a small commission, which has nothing to do with your products or your purchase or the price point on the product, to be honest with you. It is simply 10 to 36% for me, depending on how many of this awesome product that I get a chance to move. Also, I'm paid daily, which I think is pretty amazing. So if you're somebody who's looking for some collagen and you just want to be our customer, I have got a $10 code. Drop a link or a comment below, or feel free to message me and I will share with you my link so that you can get $10 off of your first order. If you are somebody who's thinking, hey, I would like to get some product and also like to break into the affiliate game, that's a passion for me. I love teaching women and men, but mostly women, how to master the affiliate game. Once you learn how to do it with one company, you can do it with anything else. So I hope that you're enjoying the show, and without any further ado, back to the show.
Yeah, I was listening to an audiobook this morning, and I decided I was going to make apple crisp. There's a ton of edit videos I should be editing, And I was like, no, it's my mom and dad's anniversary today. I would love to bring an apple crisp over, right? They're part of my cohort. Want to go and see them. And I was like, I'm going to make apple crisp and I'm going to listen to a podcast. That's my plan. I started listening, and the gal that was chatting said, when was the last time you just took a deep breath? And I was like, oh, that's really good. So I took a deep breath, right? And apple crisp was amazing. So that was not a bad thing. And then, she's like, and then be really present with what you're doing. And I was like, it's really fun. And I just paused it and I was like, I'm just gonna be present and make apple crisp. And it was like meditations. I think it's so cool that we sort of looped back around, because I was already sort of in this thought process, this morning. And she ended it with this point of, our medicine, right? It's a very feminine language, but our medicine is typically the things that we want to give. And that she always is encouraging people to go after that dream or start that thing or do that, even if you don't feel ready, because the healing comes in the doing, in the being, right? In that. And I was like, oh, that's why they say start before you're ready. And I mean, I'd heard that so many times. I probably even said it, to people when I was attempting to motivate or inspire. And today it hit me. It's like, no, that's our medicine. That thing that we don't think we're ready for, that we need to go out and do, that's the medicine in doing that thing, which is very cool. So
I love that. I love that. That's amazing. Yeah. And it's, these little nuggets are just, when you hear them and you discover them and you instantly relate it to your life, isn't it like the greatest feeling? Like you hear something and you're just like, you put it into your own life and you're like, it makes me feel amazing.
I think it adds so much joy, right? Because I know I recount some of these things to people and they're like, your life is just like, I'm like, I know, but I live saying the universe is rigged in my favor. And so I go out every day to be like, oh, that was good, universe. I didn't see that one coming. But for me, that's a better place to be. I've been on the other side. I've struggled with depression. I've struggled with suicide. And I promised myself that I was like, if I get up and I get through this and I work out whatever this is, I'm going to be happy and I'm going to laugh. And so it's kind of like, yeah, I promised myself I would get here. And so, yeah, I agree. When some of those things come, you're like, that was totally for me. She wrote this book 4 years ago. It was totally for me.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it feels good. It's a good feeling for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
So you've got business happening. How do clients find you? Let's talk about that, because I'm sure that there's someone going, dude, this person could totally train me. And do you work with people all over the place, or how does that work?
Yeah, as long as you speak, I mean, somewhat English, we can definitely have a relationship where I can get you in complete shape. How do people find me originally? Instagram has been a big one for me. Facebook's been a big one for me. My Instagram is at Zach Klassen. I'm sure there'll be a plug down below.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how people find me. But honestly, what it is for me is I love just providing free. I'm always giving free stuff on my page. Just free tips and tricks and
Brilliant.
little things.
Right here.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And like, it's just, I would say just being genuine is how I find people. They reach out to me and we start a conversation, and I'll kind of get them on the phone, and it'll just kind of, they'll become a client, or they'll walk away with some free advice.
Have you always approached your business that way, or is that something that's developed over time?
Giving free tips and stuff like that, you mean?
The authenticity, that energy of, because a lot of people say, well, I've tried, Instagram, it doesn't work for me. And how do you find clients? I'm the same way. I just sort of show up. I get more, clients or customers from my posts where I say, hey, I was in the backcountry and I hiked 60K, which has nothing to do with any of my business, than it does when I post something that says, hey, check out this product.
Yeah, I think just make sure, and it goes back to just picking a business or picking a passion that you want to do for your life. And I think it'll just come naturally. I've been giving, fitness advice since I was 17 years old. I didn't even realize it was a business until I realized it was a business, right? It was just something I love doing. I'm obsessed.
I understand. I didn't know I could make money giving referrals until I was like, I could totally make money giving referrals.
There you go. Right. So it's just one of those things that make sure that when you are deciding your business or whatever it is, people talk about don't turn your passion into a job. I obviously disagree with that. It's been nothing but amazing for me. It's a blessing for me. And I think that's the only way to really do it.
You turned your passion into a career. I think there's a really big difference between a career and a job. Because there are some that are jobs, but that's just me playing with language, because I think words are powerful.
Yeah, no, and I actually completely, as soon as I said job, I was like, it doesn't feel like a job though. But you're right, career is definitely
Job
the
elements. Let's not, kid anybody. It's not sunshine, lollipops, and roses every day.
absolutely
However,
not.
yeah,
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Well, I would love to open it up. I mean, we've been all over the map today. This was super fun. This is a great
yeah,
way to spend a Monday afternoon, let me tell you.
yeah.
Um,
Happy Easter, by the way.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Tell our listeners, I guess, if there's anything that you want to leave them with. So maybe a book you're reading, something you're listening to, or just, where are you at right now?
Yeah, I'm going to read this. Obviously, you can tell I'm all about quotes and stuff.
I love it.
So
We're getting along
let me,
just fine.
yeah, let me pull this up here. I think that one thing that I kind of wish I knew a little bit was, you don't need to have it all figured out. I would always hear people on podcasts and stuff like that, and they'd always have stuff completely figured out. And sorry, I'm multitasking, being awful at this. Hold on one sec. Let me find this. I'd always hear people on podcasts, guys, 24 years old, he's making $40,000 a month. And it's like, Jesus Christ, man, this guy must be a genius or something. And it's like, it's not the case. It's not always the case. And just to let you know, you can do it too. You can always do it too. It's in every single one of us, you know what I mean? To get what we want, whatever that is, and I think that as long as you can really just believe in yourself and cut out the bullshit, the noise, the social media posts, the people living on a beach, whatever it is, whatever is running you down, stay away from that and really focus on yourself, invest in yourself, and seriously invest in yourself. I've hired a business coach for $10,000 in myself. You know what I mean? And I think it's just like these tiny little things about like really building the tools. Again, mentally fit. You fucking nailed it with mentally fit. Really just building those tools and just coming out the other side just a lot stronger, I guess. And I just want to leave with this quote as well. You create success with skills. Okay, so you're going to create your success with skills. You sustain success with traits, and you grow success with beliefs. You know what I mean? And what's really important with that saying right there is look, at the end of the day, if Instagram wants to take away my social media following and everything, they can do it like that, right? If I get married and she takes half of my money, it can happen. It can happen just like that, right? Items, materials, money, these things can go, but skills are the one thing that no matter what is happening, the government can't take it away from you. Your ex can't take it away from you. No one can take your skills away from you. So really focus on building skills. Don't focus on building a social media following.
Ooh, that's so good. I'm so glad you nailed that because I completely agree. I read the book, The Go-Giver, very early on in my career, and it said, don't work on your net worth, work on your network, and the rest takes care of itself. And that I think really sort of started it because at the time I am an introvert. So I had 20 people that I knew. And I knew that my businesses, regardless of what I decided to do, what career path I chose, I'd need to have those people who believe in you. And that's a big deal. I love that you brought up the self-belief. And a couple of months ago, I actually did an entire article for the magazine about unfollowing, and that can be the biggest act of self-love. Is if somebody is triggering you and somebody is making you feel like you are less than, that person's got to go. Even if they got the best post and you're copying them, like out they go. But I love that you brought that up. I love that you took it home to it's about skills and it's also about making sure that it's about you. Because I think too many people are like, well, what about this? I'm going, yeah, but what lights you up? Because if we can figure that out, then the game's over.
Game's over. Exactly. So yeah, honestly, just really focus on your skills. Don't worry about anything else really. Just it'll come to you. If you found your passion anyways, you're probably going to be doing it for the next 40, 50 years. So there's no rush. You'll make $1 million somehow, some way. Don't worry about it. All that stuff will come to you, but focus on building these proper skills first. Cause again, that can't be taken away from you.
That's amazing. Wow. Well, I absolutely appreciate you taking time out to chat with me. And I feel like I found a kindred spirit. It was super cool. So that was awesome. You'll have to keep us in the loop with what you're up to, acting wise. I'd love to hear how your success continues. We'll make sure we've got links so people can connect with you if they are looking to get in shape. I know quite a few people, so I'll have to send you some referrals as soon as we get off the phone, because I think that is just, huge for people to take back their health, right? If they're physically fit, that helps with the mental fitness. And right now, we need to be arming people with as much coping as we absolutely possibly can. So.
Totally. Yeah. And especially right now, if it's, COVID's happening right now, if you feel like you're trapped in your house, you feel like you're not like getting out enough, and you feel like your body is kind of changing in a way that's not making you happy, then you got to do something about that. That's like, foundation is number one. Then we can start working on the other things.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, very cool. So to my listeners, you know the drill. If you got some value out of today, and I know that I certainly did, I'm going to have to go back and listen to this again, because I'm like, that was a really good quote. We will make sure that all of the links are mentioned. They'll be down in the show notes below, so you can contact Zach. You guys can get in touch and keep in line with what he's got going on. But you know the drill. Like, love, share, comment, subscribe. It means the world to us when we take some time out to share this with you. It's our air high five. And of course, again, thank you so much. And again, Zach, thank you again. And to everybody else, we will catch you on the flip side.
Bye.